You open your eyes to a world of salt air and crashing waves. Your parents are sea gods, Phorcys and Ceto. But don't get too excited. They're not Zeus and Hera level celebrities. More like the distant relatives nobody remembers until they show up uninvited to Thanksgiving table. Your name? Medusa, meaning guardian or protector. Sounds impressive, right? Except, here's the catch. You're not divine like your parents. You're mortal, fragile, born with an expiration date stamped on your forehead. At age 7, you're scooped up into Athena's service. At first, you're basically a glorified basket-carrying intern, weaving, chanting, lugging sacred stuff you're not even allowed to peek at. By your teens, you've leveled up to parade duty, strutting through Athens during rituals while the whole city claps and your parents brag. And somewhere along the way, you grow up. And wow, you are stunning. Beautiful enough to stop traffic in the agora. Beautiful enough to spark whispers that maybe, just maybe, you outshine a goddess or two. And in mythology, that's basically painting a target on your back. Adulthood comes with even more responsibility. Organizing sacrifices, supervising other girls, weaving robes for Athena herself. Eventually, you make it all the way to priestess of Athena Polius, guardian of her biggest temple. Which means everyone looks up to you. You're respected, admired, and in charge. And when the suitors line up, because of course they do, you just shrug. Marriage? Hard pass. You've already got power, purpose, and a goddess to serve. Why trade that in for some husband who just wants kids and dinner on the table? So yes, you're beautiful, but you're also devoted, disciplined, and basically running one of the most important temples in Athens, which makes what's about to happen next even worse. One day, Poseidon, god of the sea, decides he's bored. He sees you, he likes you, and lucky you, he doesn't waste time. The earliest Greek versions of your story, they say you and Poseidon had a romantic affair. Maybe you even liked him. Maybe it was a forbidden, passionate fling. But here's the problem. You two didn't pick the back alley or some seaside cave. You chose Athena's temple, right there, in her sacred space. Athena catches wind of this divine Tinder date, and she is furious. Not at Poseidon, mind you, because the Olympians always cover for each other, but at you. So she curses you for daring to defile her temple, for staining her sacred ground. Her punishment? Turning you into something monstrous. The beauty everyone adored vanishes. Your flowing hair? Now a nest of writhing serpents. Your bright eyes? Now petrifying death rays. One glance at your face and boom, instant statue. So in this version of the story, your great crime was basically bad judgment in location. You picked the wrong hookup spot, and you paid for it with eternal damnation. Thanks, Poseidon. Now, centuries later, the Roman poet Ovid comes along, and he's not buying this whole consensual temple romance thing. He retells your story with a darker twist. In his version, Poseidon assaults you inside Athena's temple. You're not guilty of passion. You're a victim. But does Athena offer you comfort? Justice? Protection? Nope. Same ending, different justification. She punishes you anyway, twisting you into a monster, blaming you for the crime committed against you. So depending on who's telling the story, you're either a love-struck mortal who made a dumb choice, or a victim of divine assault who got punished for someone else's crime. Either way, you're cursed. Either way, you lose. And so your nightmare begins. You are Medusa, the snake-haired monster. Your beauty is gone, your humanity stripped away. You wake up every morning to the sound of hissing. Not birdsong, not waves, just your hair trying to eat each other. Snakes don't respect personal space. Bath time? A nightmare. You can't even wash your face without one of your snakes lunging at your hand like, "Back off, that's my eye." Bad hair days? Honey, every day is a bad hair day when your bangs can literally bite. Dating? Forget it. Your Tinder profile would just read, hobbies include isolation, turning people to stone, and long walks in caves. Athena made sure you'd never know peace again. You aren't just punished, you're weaponized. A walking cautionary tale. A monster people whisper about but never want to meet. You retreat to a cave, far from people. It's safer that way. For them and for you. The snakes hiss, slither, and strike at shadows. You hear them more than you hear your own voice. Sometimes adventurers come, hoping to kill you, to claim glory. They never leave. Your cave fills with statues of your would-be conquerors, frozen forever mid-scream or mid-swing. A grim art gallery you never wanted. Some versions of the story say you didn't live alone, but with your two sisters, Stheno and Euryale. Also Gorgons. Also terrifying. The catch? They're immortal. You're not. Which makes you the weakest link in the family chain, the one hunters actually have a shot at. But here's where the myths can't agree. The version we've been following? The tragic glow-up then snake hair curse from Athena? That's the later, juicier story. An earlier version skips all that. No temple, no curse, no tragic beauty destroyed. In that version, you and your sisters were a Gorgon from day one, born with the snakes, the fangs, and the turn-to-stone glare. So whether you're the priestess turned monster or the factory settings monster straight out of the box, the ending is the same. You live feared, hated, and hunted. And of course, the statues piling up in your cave aren't enough. Eventually, your story collides with another guy, Perseus, your least favorite hero. And let's be honest, his whole story starts messy. His mom, Danae, gets a surprise visit from Zeus, who shows up, not as himself, not even as an animal this time, but as golden rain. Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Subtlety was never Zeus's thing. 9 months later, boom, Perseus is born. But of course, the baby comes with a prophecy. Danae's father hears that her son is destined to kill him. So like every responsible parent-grandparent figure in Greek mythology, he skips family therapy and shoves his daughter and newborn grandson into a chest, then tosses them into the ocean. Parenting, ancient Greek style. Naturally, the gods intervene, because watching mortals drown isn't entertaining enough, and Danae and little Perseus survive. They wash ashore in a new kingdom, where the local king, Polydectes, immediately gets the hots for Danae. And Danae's like, "No thanks, creepy old man." Perseus, being the protective son, isn't having it either. So Polydectes comes up with a plan straight out of a bad rom-com villain script. To get rid of the son, he pretends he's moved on. He tells Perseus, "Don't worry, kid, I'm marrying someone else." And Perseus, being young, noble, and incredibly gullible, offers to bring him any wedding gift he wants. And Polydectes, absolute genius that he is, asks for a Gorgon's head. Specifically, yours. Because why send him on a reasonable errand like olives or wine when you can guarantee his death? And Perseus, instead of laughing and saying, "Yeah, no," actually agrees. Congrats! You've just become the centerpiece of an impossible fetch quest. Now Perseus doesn't go in unarmed. First he shakes down the Grey Eye, 3 ancient hags who share 1 eyeball and 1 tooth between them. Yes, 1 eyeball. They literally pass it around like a contact lens at a sleepover. While they're mid-handoff, Perseus just snatches it, holds their only eye hostage, and basically says, "Spill the directions or you'll be blind. Forever." Honestly, kind of a power move. They give in, tell him where to find the nymphs of the river Styx and the cave of the Gorgons, and Perseus hits the jackpot. The nymphs hook him up with Hades' cap of invisibility, Hermes' winged sandals, and a handy little satchel for carrying, well, your severed head. Like a mythological tote bag. But he's not done shopping yet. Hermes personally loans him a shiny sickle, and Athena, oh yes, Athena, the same goddess who cursed you into snake-haired exile, gifts him a polished shield that works like a mirror. The irony is so rich you could spread it on toast. Armed with divine freebies and boosted by every cheat code in Olympus, Perseus sails off toward your cave. So Perseus sneaks into your cave while you're sleeping. No warning, no battle cry, no duel of equals. He stares at your reflection in the shield, creeps closer, and with 1 clean strike, slices off your head. That's how you die. Not in glory, not in combat, but murdered in your sleep by a boy with a mirror. But wait, it gets even weirder. Because when your head hits the floor, 2 fully formed beings leap out of your neck like some grotesque mythological jack-in-the-box. First, Pegasus, the winged horse. Beautiful, majestic, pure white. And second, Chrysaor, a golden warrior who sometimes gets described as a giant wielding a sword, out of your neck, which raises 1,000 questions no ancient poet bothered to answer. Were they just waiting in there? Did nobody feel like explaining the logistics of neck pregnancies? Nope, they just pop out, no big deal. Meanwhile, your severed head gets bagged like a takeout order and hauled across Greece. On the way home, Perseus really puts your face to work. He whips you out like a divine taser on anything that moves. Sea monster? Stone. Annoying rival? Stone. Awkward guy asking Danae for her number? Stone. Your severed head racks up more kills than you ever did alive. And eventually, Perseus hands your head to Athena. She fixes it onto her shield, the Aegis. Immortalized. Not as yourself, not as a woman, not as a victim, but as a weapon. Your whole existence reduced to a piece of hardware on someone else's armor. And so, your story ends not as Medusa the Guardian, but as a logo, a brand slapped on Athena's shield like some grim corporate rebranding. Congratulations, your mythology's first sponsored content. If there's a moral here, it's this: never be too beautiful, never trust sea gods, and for the love of Olympus, never, ever book a date inside a goddess's temple. No matter which version you read, one thing's certain: being Medusa sucks big time. You were never the villain, just the unlucky mortal who got written into the wrong story. Subscribe for more mythological tragedies roasted in stick figures.